We're going to move to foreign policy now, and this question is about the current situation overseas in the Mideast. What role should the U.S. Congress have in stopping international terrorist organizations such as ISIS? And we'll begin with you, Mark.
Well, I think this week is a sober reminder that the war against terrorism continues on, and with the tragic beheading of the second journalist. But that's not just the story. It's a story that happened in the Capitol a few weeks prior to that. I had a number of Iraqi people come to my office and talk about hundreds of thousands of Christians that were being slaughtered, Kurds being slaughtered, Christians being slaughtered. And they said, you know what? The administration's not doing anything. They're not doing anything. The French are doing things, but the United States is not doing anything. Can't you help us? And so 4 members of Congress, yes, in a bipartisan way, got on the phone and talked to not only USAID, but the State Department. And the person that gave him the hardest time was a Democrat, because she kept coming back at it and said, this is not just right. Talk is cheap. We need to get something going. Because supposedly we were monitoring the situation. This is a situation that requires action. And why does it require action? Not just because of the Christians in Iraq, or in North Africa, or in the Sudan, but it's coming back home. You know, the headlines recently talked about a guy wanting to join ISIS in Salisbury, North Carolina. It is right here in our backyard. There are cells here. When you look at Charlotte, we had Hezbollah cells here that looked at blowing up the courthouse and sent out a death threat against those that prosecuted. We have got to stand up. Cutting and taking an indecisive wait-and-see approach is not what we need to do. Cutting the military is not the way to do. We don't have to put boots on the ground. We've got Kurds that can handle it there, but we have to make a decisive action, and we need to be firm. That's a real humanitarian response.
Tom, your position?
We have over 1,000 contractors in Iraq today serving in the military role. We now have 1,300 American troops on the ground in Iraq. And so I am not, I don't share Mark's point of view on this, obviously. And I would point out that these ISIS criminals are the same ones that the hawks, the Republican hawks and Democrat hawks, wanted to come to the aid of against Assad. Assad was killing those guys. We have to go in there. Those people are being slaughtered. How bad it is. Look how he's gassed these guys. It's just awful. And then those people that we went in to help, they're turning around, they're beheading our reporters. Right? The same ones. The people that, and so we don't know what we're doing in the Mideast. And one day the Republicans want out, and the next day they want to impeach Obama for not going in. It's a flip-flop. And we don't know what we're doing. We need to get out of there. We need to give humanitarian aid to people who are fleeing from these wars. I will support going into Gaza and demilitarizing Gaza with NATO. Those are 2 military actions, 2 types of actions I'll support. The other is to get out of the way of these sectarian people. We made the Taliban. Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. made the Taliban. The Russians invaded Afghanistan. They came in, and we said how awful it is. Those poor people in Afghanistan are suffering under the Russians. We got the CIA over there. We taught them how to fight. We gave them weapons. Man, that light comes on quick. We gave them weapons. We taught them how to fight. We do that over and over again and say, what went wrong? What went wrong is we don't have an exit strategy. We jump into these things. We're good at bombing and tearing things up and killing people, but we're not very good at beyond that.
Well, I disagree with Tom. I know foreign policy like the back of my head. I've met with 89 ambassadors. I've met with the ambassador of Iraq. I've truly been a student of this since I've gotten to Washington, D.C. And I can tell you, inaction is not what they respect. They respect the fact that we need to take decisive action. That's what they want us to take. You know, when you start to say that, that this ISIS is of our own making, that's not accurate. I mean, we had 1,500 people when ISIS was there. We could have gotten rid of them not more than 18 months ago at 1,500 people. Now they're up to 20,000, and they're getting Al-Qaeda affiliates from all over the world to back them up. You gotta deal with it today decisively, or we're going to be dealing with it with the blood of our men and women in the future if we don't deal with it today.
People say they're coming to our country. How do we defend ourselves? What's the best way?
I got a minute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What we're doing is we're building a training ground for terrorists. That's where they go there. These guys in the United States who are half nuts go over there to get their training. All right? That's what they're there for. There are these lunatics who enjoy killing and dying, and if I blow myself up and take 30 people with me, the world will stand up and cheer. Okay? I don't think it's going to cheer. Only thing it's going to take notice is the bomb that goes off. I mean, it's just idiocy as to what these people are doing. Now, we are providing a training ground. We're providing a training ground over there for them, and I want that to stop. Ask the people at the Boston Marathon if they thought fighting those wars over there made them any safer. The Russians knew who the terrorists was, and who the terrorists were, and our own intelligence did not. I could not disagree more, and we need to stop.